X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach, and Adam, we've got to go today. We've got to go fast. We've got to do speedrun tactics here. This is going to be a quick episode here and back as fast as we can.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time on our hands, so we got to speed up and make sure that this happens quickly. If you're listening at home, make sure you adjust on your podcast app so that you're listening at a little bit of a faster speed, because this entire episode is all about speedsters and X-Men.
It's very important. If you normally listen to podcasts at 1x speed, you're insane. If you normally listen to podcasts as like 1.5, maybe crank it up to 2. If you're a 2 and above stir, hit that thing to the max. Get a 3-speeder going here, because we have to go fast. This is an interactive experience for you to understand everything that's going on, because thanks to a Patreon supporter by the name of Kenny, we've got an episode all about speedsters.
That's right. We got 3 separate speeders thanks to Kenny. So we're gonna rattle through them really fast.
We're gonna go. Now, if you are on the more pedestrian side of things, a little slower, you'll actually look at your podcaster and see we're about at the same length as normal, which is why it's important for you to speed up this episode so the bit works. Luckily, our bits are never funny, so everyone gets to enjoy this however they want. But I say all that to say this, Adam, we got to thank Kenny. We'll do the Patreon stuff at the end. Kenny, you're great. I'll tell you how to be like Kenny later. But we got to talk about the comic Kenny recommended, it's called Fall Down, Go Boom.
Fall Down, Go Boom. And thanks, Kenny. We're talking about Chuck Austen again. Gosh.
We're talking about Chuckles, the Chuckles. It actually is not never ending, is the thing.
No, I know. There is a limited amount of Chuck Austen stories.
There's like, if we did 2 dedicated Chuck Austen episodes, I think we could get them all done.
All right. Well, we may have to plan for that. This one is thankfully illustrated by the outstanding Sean Phillips. I believe Sean is doing both his pencils and his inks here. So this actually looks and almost feels, with the exception of maybe one page of some very awkward dialogue, it actually kind of feels like a regular comic book. This is probably the closest Chuck Austen is getting to like normal, right?
I like how you're using words like regular and normal and not good, which is blessed. But I agree. This is Uncanny X-Men 414 by Chuckles the Truckles. Like you said, Sean Phillips, fantastic. Dudes know about Sean Phillips, right? Like, we don't have to pretend like he hasn't been doing all of those Ed Brubaker crime books for a while.
Yeah, kind of weird, though. The cover is by Stephen Uy. I think that's how you say his name. And it's kind of got an anime look, so you would never know Sean Phillips is doing this book unless you cracked it open.
It is very funny that we've got hyper shonen anime North Star here. It's not shonen. I don't know. What's the word for pretty looking boy in anime terms?
You're asking me.
You've watched Adam. I just want to say, yes. One of us had a podcast where the entire bit was that he'd only watched 2 animes, and one of them was X-Men.
Yes, I remember recently sharing with you that there were like multiple Evangelion movies that went beyond End of Evangelion, and you were like, nope, not going to watch those. And I was like, what? You're not excited for Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.1? And you're like, what are you talking about, Adam? That show is over. That's over.
It is. We had to stop that for reasons. Also, the word I was looking for is Bishonen, which means beautiful boy.
Oh, I'm learning something. Well, that's nice.
I'm learning something too. That's what
yes.
that's what North Star looks like on here. He looks like a beautiful anime boy.
He does. And this is a story about North Star being potentially recruited to the new X-Men era. We have Professor X, walking around and asking North Star if he wants to teach at the Xavier school. And while this is happening, we also have a young boy who unfortunately is being a victim of some physical abuse. And he just kind of keeps exploding. He's not Explodey Boy. Don't want to get that confused, but he does let off these gigantic bursts of blue energy that kill his family and his siblings, his abusive father, and this is no good. The X-Men go to investigate with North Star, and really the only person who can potentially save this boy and get him to someplace safe is the speed of North Star himself. Unfortunately, this does not go so well. But along the way, North Star has an interesting conversation with this young boy who's dealing with his own mortality.
So there's a couple of things worth introducing here and worth bringing up from a historic standpoint. One, this comic came out in 2002. That's going to become relevant because the dialogue sounds like it's written in 2002. The other thing, North Star was an Alpha Flight character until this. And Alpha Flight, even in its earliest days, was like tenuously connected to X-Men. John Byrne fairly intentionally wanted it to be its own thing.
But they were
just
mutants.
happened to be mutants. They were mutants, but like Alpha Flight was its own deal.
Yes.
It wasn't a X-Men spin-off in the way like New Mutants or X-Factor was.
No, that's very true.
And
it's not Alpha X Flight,
Right. Now, North Star had been on the X-Men at one point for Eve of Destruction, which is mostly remembered for being very bad and unimportant and completely forgotten the next month when Grant Morrison took over the books. So this is really taking North Star and centering him in a high-profile position in the X-Line. And Professor X specifically addresses, hey, due to the comics code, all of us are straight, and we've got some students that likely aren't, and we should probably have someone for them to talk to. The beauty of North Star is that he is not a kind or supportive person.
No, but he is
not
intrigued. He is intrigued by this offer. Not necessarily by the idea of being a diversity hire, but he is intrigued by the idea of coming to teach business and economics. So he's understanding that Xavier is respecting his potential role in the school in multiple ways. And that conversation alone strikes me as somewhat more intelligent than what we usually get from Mr. Austen. Unfortunately, this does get negated by something later in the issue.
Well, then, so he goes and saves the kid, and tries to take the kid back, and the kid freaks out because North Star mentions that he's gay, and that people did not accept him because he was gay, just like this kid's father is not accepting him because he's a mutant. And there's some really 2002 dialogue in there, including some references to pretty terrible stereotypes about gay men. And it's not great to read. It's very much the way this was talked about in 2002, so it's authentic of the time. But that time was homophobic and bad. Yeah,
it's rough. You can see what Chuck Austen is trying to do. I do think that I want to give him a little bit of credit because I feel like he is. This is for the fact that it does have some unfortunate choice of language in it. It's still a little bit more sophisticated than what Chuck Austen tends to do, which is kind of like proselytize through his, he has his characters make speeches, and they're usually supposed to be these sort of like, social topic du jour. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like an honest attempt to have this character identifying with this young man and trying to save him. So it is flawed. It's not great, and unfortunately, he's not unable to save the boy. He can't get him back to the Xavier mansion before he takes himself out with this explosion.
I'll be very honest. I gave the book a lot of credit because I do think this is likely the best Chuck Austen X-Men issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking at the whole everything, this one's probably the best because it does feel authentic, even if it's dated. It does feel like it's directly approaching a topic in a way that, like, even today is a rarity in a lot of Marvel comics.
Sure.
When it comes to topics like directly addressing homosexuality and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just you don't get that in a lot of Marvel stuff. They are incredibly conservative about how they approach these things, and for every amount of effort that creators do make, it gets held back. And that's an unfortunate thing here. All that aside, I don't like that the kid dies to make Northstar feel sad, but that's largely because I don't like kids dying in stories, especially as props for other characters to feel sad about, because it's even sadder because it was a kid that died.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously, a little bit of a fridging situation. What I will say, and to give Austen credit, is that typically he's very bad at structuring issues and laying them out. And I don't know if it's just because he has Phillips on board to do it, but this is structured very well. And there's actually some interesting moments. There's one at the end where Northstar is laying on this infirmary bed and asks Xavier, "Do you think you could have saved him?" And Xavier is pretty blunt. He there's this great like silent panel, which to see that in a Chuck Austen book is wild. And then to have Xavier, think it before he says it, that he couldn't. It showcases a level of storytelling that I'm sure Sean Phillips was informing in his reaction to the script that I think elevates it a little bit more than we normally would get. Now, I don't want to go crazy praising this. I just think it's a pretty good issue. I don't think it's like stellar, but it's so much better than what we see from him normally that it does stand out.
I think this is probably the most mature, and I mean that in terms of the content being, adult, and also the content being well developed and well thought out, that Chuck Austen ever reaches.
Yeah.
Does that make it a good comic that I would recommend? No, I think there are other comics that I still wouldn't call great that deal with this exact same topic better.
Yeah.
But if we're grading on the Chuck Austen scale, this one ends up pretty good.
Yes, but we have a much bigger scale with our giant list, so we should probably add it to it.
We do. We have a big old list of all the X-Men stories of all time. It's very long. I'll tell you how long at the end. But number 1 on that list is the House of X Powers of 10. Number 100 on that list is Messiah War. Number 200 is the X-Force Road Trip. Number 300 is that X-Men annual where they do a cult in Kentucky with the Guthries. There's a Guthrie cult. Well, just one Guthrie's in the cult. 400 is the Life and Times of Lucas Bishop. Number 500 is Ages of Apocalypse. In 528, it's Chuck Austen himself. It's the Draco, baby.
I want to finally give Austen a little bit of credit here. I think this is a 300s level story. I don't think we're as
well. Hold on. I'm not.
You just want to double
disagreeing.
check my math. Check my math because at 400, Life and Times of Lucas Bishop. I think this is better.
The top rated Chuckles Austen story that we have on this list is number 427, Day of the Atom, which is the one where they find out about Zorn's secret identical twin brother Zorn.
Right. This is better than that.
This is better than that by a good step.
Yeah.
It's probably better than Generation M, which is a pretty comparable comic, honestly.
We have
that's a 404.
404. Oh yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. Like I think we're in the 300s here.
Okay, but we're in the deep 300s because is this better than Judgment War?
All right. Yeah, you got me.
Paul Smith draws Judgment War. Again, I'm the Judgment War disliker here.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Judgment War is better, as is London Hellfire Club, which is right above it at 395. But it's probably better than Cyclops Retribution from Marvel Comics Presents at 397.
I agree with that. We can move Uncanny X-Men 441. Fall down, go boom. Chuck Austen has broken into the 300s right now. How long will he stay there? Honestly, it could be the rest of this episode.
I was going to say, I think he's going to stay there for the rest of this episode because this next one we're going to talk about is, oh boy.
He's not going to stay there by next week. I know what we're doing next week, and I can tell you for a fact they're all better than this. But
well, this week, okay, tell them what we're talking about next because this one's rough.
I just think that you got to watch them be quick or be dead. Snake eyes in heaven, the beast in your head. We're talking about X Factor, the Quick and the Dead.
Yes.
Should we replace me with Bruce Dickinson, a good singer from Iron Maiden, who does exactly that?
Are you saying you're better than Bruce Dickinson, or are you?
No, I'm not better than Bruce Dickinson. Hey, fun fact. This is unrelated to the Quick and the Dead. I know my father, on occasion, listens to this podcast. I assume not every week, because that would be insanity.
Yeah.
Because he does not read comics. If you do, hi, Dad. For my birthday, which was not that long ago, I became an old. I turned 30. My dad got me a book that might be the weirdest book I've ever seen.
Ooh,
this is relevant, I swear.
Yeah.
It's a book by Adrian Smith, one of the 3 guitarists for Iron Maiden. It's called Monsters of River and Rock. My Life as Iron Maiden's Compulsive Angler. And it's Adrian Smith's book about fishing?
Oh my god. What a cover. You're holding this up right now so I can see it. And I am loving this gold embossed.
This is a 300-page book about very, very incredible guitarist Adrian Smith.
As an angler. I love
fishing.
That. What a concept. I love the font. That's great. Got the Iron Maiden font on the cover. Have you started it yet? And is it any good?
I have not started it yet. I'm not a fisherman. I am an Iron Maiden fan, so I'm very interested in if I can be interested in a book about fishing from a guy from Iron Maiden. Like, what's next? Is Yannick Gears gonna write a book about knitting? Is Dave Murray gonna, I don't know, talk to me about like stock car racing? Well, Bruce Dickinson's going to talk to me about commercial flights and how to become a commercial pilot.
Well,
that's not a joke. That part's just what Bruce Dickinson does.
No, but I was going to say, you got to compliment your dad for knowing you well enough to buy you that book. Like,
My dad
that would
likes Iron
be
Maiden more than
like
me, I'm
my
gonna be very
dad
honest.
buying me like a Sonic Youth, you know, something or other, and I that's not happening.
Adam, you have to do some math in your head here and realize that my dad just really liked Iron Maiden when he was a teen, and I listened to them when I was a teen. That's how that worked.
Yes, but you still like Iron Maiden. It's not
I
like
do
you
still
don't.
like Iron Maiden's. Hey, wild statement. Iron Maiden's pretty good when it comes to metal bands.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it still requires some knowledge of you, and I think that's appreciated. All right, we just got off on a tangent here. It was a quick tangent, but we're not talking about North
Quick
Star
one
anymore.
while you were away.
This one is about Quicksilver. It's written by Peter David. It is drawn by Pablo Raimondi and colored by Jeremy Cox, and it is happening right after House of M, correct? Or Decimation?
No. So it goes House of M.
Right.
House of M number 7, where Wanda says no more mutants.
Right.
House of M number 8, which kicks off the decimation.
Mm-hmm.
Then Quicksilver appears in the first arc of X Factor as a grifter.
Because he's lost his Terrigen crystals, right? Or
no, he's lost his power in general.
Right.
Then in Son of M, which we have not covered on this podcast, he hangs out with the Inhumans with his ex-wife and then steals Terrigen crystals and infuses them into his body so that he can travel through time because a Quicksilver from the future told him to do that. And he's getting super speed through time travel. I don't know if he got his regular powers back or if we just stopped doing that bad idea.
Well, so this is after he's had his Terrigen crystals taken away.
Yes.
So he's kind of hit rock bottom and is in prison and is talking to himself because he's having visions of people from his life, and 2 other prisoners in the cell are kind of making fun of him. And,
you're talking about T-Bar and Rufus?
Yes.
Peter David names his gang members in his jail like he's Joe Biden telling a story.
Yeah. Quicksilver, how would you describe how Quicksilver looks in this book? The artist has given him a very peculiar face.
He looks like he's in a bad way, Adam. He looks like he's having a day.
He sure does. He's got these purple bruises on him. He looks kind of cross-eyed, maybe missing a tooth. And he gets visited by sort of ghosts of Christmas past here. Wanda, Eric, Crystal, and even Layla.
Layla's his arch nemesis, to be fair.
Right. And Magneto decides to use his time as a Vision to apologize for... Oh, I don't know if that's the right word. He says something nice. He says something nice about Hitler and the Holocaust that does not sit right with me.
What he says is that, well, Pietro, if it wasn't for the Holocaust, I would have never met your mom. Which, I understand that this is not Magneto saying this. This is Quicksilver's demented idea of Magneto saying this in the story. But also, Peter David, you did write that coming out of Magneto's mouth. And that's a choice that you could make. And I would not make that choice, personally.
No.
I think that, in general, that's probably a little flippant.
I read this panel and was just like aghast. I could not believe that he was... I mean, just a critical misunderstanding of the character of, like, even in Quicksilver's mind, it makes no sense.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna pretend like I understand Quicksilver's mind by any means. I get it. I
don't get it though. I don't understand Quicksilver's mind any better because of this story. Like, I'm getting this interior hallucination monologue that doesn't add anything to any of it. Layla basically shows up and is like, "Hey, loser, you could still be Quicksilver," and Quicksilver like runs out and runs around the world and saves somebody. Or no, he sort of runs out of steam and gets picked up by a cruise ship. It does beg the question, why is this a one shot? What in the world is meaningful about this particular story that demanded it be a standalone comic book that needed to be separate from the run of X Factor in which he was already a character? Like, this does not lead into an event. It doesn't stem really from anything but an arc from X Factor. So why?
If I could put my business boy hat on.
All right, I want to hear this.
If I could put my business boy hat on, I would say.
I like how you're looking around for your business boy.
I wanted to see if I had a hat around, and then I remembered this is an audio medium, even though we have a video chat.
Well, we could at least describe the hat, but I just thought it was funny. You're describing a business boy hat. It's like a
I
skit
forgot
from
for
I
a
Think
second that the
Leave.
cameras were just for us. Okay.
Where's my business boy hat?
What I would say is, so Quicksilver is a fairly prominent Marvel character. He was like when they were recruiting new Avengers for Joss Whedon's movie, he was up there on the list of Avengers to recruit. Like, he was there. So, like, they see Quicksilver as a big deal. And I think that's a fair statement to make. This is a story that is roughly standalone because you don't need to know how Quicksilver lost his Terrigen crystals or anything. You just need to know Quicksilver's in a bad place. And he gets his powers back for reasons that are never commented on again.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, because then he goes to, I think, Mighty Avengers, I think he goes to. And then he tells everybody that it was actually a Skrull because it was just after the Secret Invasion. He tells everyone, oh no, that was a Skrull. That wasn't real Quicksilver that did all those bad things. That was a Skrull. Here's the thing about that.
That's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. It's a great way to still have a character be a dirtbag and write him into a script in a good way. Here's the thing about that, though. Again, unrelated to this whole story, but Daniel Slott did then have Hank Pym find out about it and had Hank Pym say, we'll just let all of that slide and go without any repercussions. Which, coming from Hank Pym, sure is...
It's a choice.
Again, you gotta think outside of the story and think at the optics of what you are actually doing and saying, creators. It's on a different scale, but like the same fallacy of that Magneto thing. It's like, yes, okay, I can see how you could come up with a story justification for this happening, but you're still making it happen, so maybe think about that for a hot sec.
Yeah. All right, let's rank this bad boy, because
it's pretty...
I'm going to say something wild. I don't think this is as good as that Chuck Austen story. This is bad.
It's not as good as that Chuck Austen story. Let's drop this bad boy into the 400s.
Yeah, definitely. Is it worse than the Secret Invasion arc of X Factor and She-Hulk? I think it is. That's at 410.
I mean, yeah, it's just about there. It's right. It's right in that area. I'm looking around. 422's IVX. I'd probably rather read IVX. Really.
Oh, definitely. I think I'd rather read X-Men 20 and 21. Lucifer. That's at least like kind of silly, you know.
Which one's that at? Where's I?
That's right below that at 423.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Wildcats X-Men's better than this. Trial of Juggernaut, another Chuck Austen story, probably better than this.
I would agree. Yeah. I don't know if
this is.
Let's see. Oh, now
Yeah,
we're really getting
I think
down
we're
into it.
This is. Is this better or worse than Blood of Apocalypse from Peter Milligan?
Yeah, maybe it's. I mean, Blood of Apocalypse is bad. It's bad. I mean, we're getting into
that's
this.
the thing.
But here's the thing. Like, I'm going down to 451, Iceman Volume 1. I'd rather reread Iceman Volume 1 than ever. Like, this is such a meaningless story. I don't
We've
think
got
it
a
really...
weird.
Right?
We've got a weird list here.
We really do. We really do. I feel like this is about as meaningless as that Incredible Hulk story that we ranked last episode, which is down at 462.
Oh, but that Incredible Hulk story was better.
That's what I'm saying. It should go lower.
Oh, dang. No, you're right. Maybe we gave Blood of Apocalypse too much credit.
Maybe.
It's better. Okay, 480 is X-Women, and this is better than X-Women.
Sure. Yeah, it's not that bad. I don't think it's as bad as like X-Men 5 to 7, The Man Who Fell to Earth.
I think it's better. I think X-Man. Actually, no, I think X-Man's better than that.
Really? Okay.
I would actually put it right between that and X-Men and the Micronauts. If I'm looking at this list, that's where I would put it.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right. So this is going to be our new 477 Quicksilver, the Quick and the Dead.
Two-time GLAAD Award winner Peter Allen David, you are not having a good showing here today.
Jesus. It's a bad one. Just skip that one. All right. We got one more
I forgot
here.
about
Mr.
this one, Adam.
Mr. Zachary, I would like to have a word with you because we talked about how we needed one more speedster for this episode. And you were like, very casually, hey, let's just do the first appearance of Surge. And I was like, oh, I love Surge. This will be great. Not realizing that we were talking about New Mutants Volume 2, 7 to 12, The Ties That Bind, which...
Adam.
Zach.
Adam, I forgot until you posted... You posted a panel on Twitter, and it all came rushing back. Said, "Oh no, that also happens in that arc."
Yes.
Oh
yes.
No.
Yes. All right. So why don't we start with the fact that each one of these issues has Chris Bachalo cover, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. Oh no, it's not.
It's not. This is from 2004. It's by Nuez de Felipe and Christina Ware on writing. Carlos Barbary does most of the pencils. Kerry Randolph does a few fill-in pages here or there on a couple of the issues. And this is the story.
I was going to say, this is not a New Mutant story.
Well, no. So this book was called New Mutants at the time, and it was about essentially Danny Moonstar, Shion. Why did I say? Oh, because that's the name of the city. That's how it's pronounced, and that's how I always read it. Danny, Sean, and really that's about it. Training up the next generation of New Mutants like Prodigy and Wind Dancer, and the other one, Wallflower. Yep. Yeah, Elixir here. Here's the thing: we didn't cover this because we haven't done the first arc of this yet. If you didn't know, I think you picked it up in this. Elixir was introduced as a member of the Reavers.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Well, hold on, because it makes a certain sort of sense. Because you have read the New Mutants graphic novel, Marvel graphic novels number 4.
Right.
Where Cannonball is introduced, and he needed money, so he... joined Donald Pierce, and his team at the time was the Hellfire Club. So he was like, okay, I don't know. I don't think I hate mutants. And it wasn't, at the time, he was just working for a dude. It wasn't explicitly anti-mutant. But that's exactly what they're doing here, is they had Donald Pierce's team, and hey, here's the kid that's going to do it. The problem is that Josh Foley was an outright racist, against mutants the whole time until he became a mutant, and then he doesn't know why everyone at the school is like not wanting to hang out with him, which is incredibly fair. This is not people being like mean. This is like, hey bud, you were in the KKK like a week ago. I don't
want to hang out with you.
I don't think I want you around. Yeah.
You gotta give credit to Prodigy for being as nice to Josh as he is throughout this arc, because he really shouldn't be. And we are really getting our first taste of the new X-Men, teams. We're getting introduced to, we've got Hellion and Rockslide and Annalee. They're all here as part of the supporting cast. But we're getting these new mutants that are going to be part of the other team. And I like Barbari's art here. I think it's nice. It's got kind of like a cartoonish quality to it. It doesn't work all the time, but I think it fits the tone of the book. Unfortunately, the thrust of this, while there is the introduction of Surge,
who they have to deal. Let's
stick with Surge
first.
Talk
about Surge.
Yeah, let's stick with that.
Let's start
first.
there.
Yeah.
So Surge appears in the second issue of this as a homeless girl who is trying to get into Xavier's because she's a mutant and she needs help, and Hellion tells her to go away.
Right.
Yeah, that sucks.
Thanks, Hellion.
That part does suck.
Yeah.
And what we later find out is that she is homeless and has a substance abuse problem, or not even abuse, but a substance dependency to help slow herself down so that she can control her fast electricity powers.
Right. And, it's only upon coming into Xavier's that she's assured that this is not a good solution for what she's dealing with, and she's outfitted with her trademark sort of gauntlets that allow her to control and channel her electricity and also look completely like awesome. So
yeah, drugs are bad, Adam. That's the moral of this story.
Yeah,
is that all homeless people are on drugs and drugs are bad.
It's a rough start. She also, along the way, loses control in the local cafe and electrocutes the cafe owner, and goes back at the end of the arc and offers to sort of work off all of the damages that she, made in this little cafe, which is also an interesting choice of story. But, that is not the lasting impression that I have of these issues. Unfortunately, we have to talk about what is the overwhelming focus of these issues, and that is a very radical character assassination of one Miss Rain Sinclair. We get introduced to this new version of Rain as Avalanche is attacking a small downtown, and I guess a character who is supposed to be Rain Sinclair shows up, lost her accent, dressed in sort of unrecognizable clothing, and is now suddenly this like slang talking, calls everybody slick. It's real weird. And it only gets weirder.
They want Wolfsbane to be super cool, and I love Wolfsbane. She's also Wolfsbane. Like, right? No, I love the Wolfsbane that I knew and loved the entire time before this. So if you want to bring back Wolfsbane and make her, something for the new generation, that's one thing. But there's darn near nothing recognizable about Rain Sinclair in this. And that becomes worse when, two things happen in parallel. One, because he's a mutant, Elixir's parents sign his legal guardianship over to the Xavier Institute, and specifically Danny Moonstar, who is now, I guess, legally his mom.
Yeah, really weird. Really weird. Two.
At the same time. At the same time, Elixir and Wolfsbane just start making out. Wolfsbane becomes a teacher in this, and now she's hooking up with a student immediately after showing up, and that sucks.
What's really creepy about this is that Rain is, first of all, you already have a series that is trying to present Danny and Sean as sort of a little bit older than we remembered them from New Mutants. Old enough so that they are going to be instructors for this new generation of young kids. Now, when Rain shows up, it's specifically pointed out that she was significantly younger than them, but yet is still old enough to be an instructor as part of this new program. But it's also indicated when Josh and Rain go out on a date that they're not that far apart in age, and the comic wants to have it both ways. And frankly, all of it adds up to being super freaking creepy and gross.
There's no both ways about it when there is a disproportional power dynamic in a relationship like this, and the very literal textbook definition of that is a student-teacher relationship. When, well, they're not that far in age, but there is such a big power gap between a direct instructor and a student that, oh boy, you should... It is the warning flag. Like, it's everything.
The fact that the writers went this way, both with the character and then with her and Josh's involvement, and continues on into the new X-Men title, it's so just wrong and gross. And I want to talk about Surge, and I want to, talk about these characters, because I think there is some okay stuff happening in these books in terms of character development. But my God, this just overshadows everything. It's so offensive, and it just doesn't sit right,
It sucks. It's also just not a very interesting story. Like,
well, it doesn't add anything. You know what I mean? There's a whole issue that recaps Rain's... What's that?
Take away the fact that it's bad. It's not a very interesting tale that they're telling.
No, and what's really strange about it is that, they take an entire issue to go through and explain Rain's entire backstory as part of flashbacks, and it just shows, like, the complete incongruity. Like, how do you know that entire arc of the character from beginning to through the 90s and still end up with this is the version that you want to present in your book? I don't get it. It's mystifying.
So I see why they did the flashback thing. Like, I don't agree with it, because what they essentially do is use it as a foil for Wind Dancer and how she raised up, and they're trying to like make these connections that, well, this is the new version of this character, but it's a tenuous connection and it doesn't really land very well, except for,
it doesn't.
Hey, both these characters have daddy issues, which, hey, welcome to most of fiction and also a large chunk of reality.
Absolutely. But it doesn't work. It's really no good. So, what I can salvage from this is, like I said, some of the stuff that's happening with Prodigy and some of the other characters that are starting to evolve here. But unfortunately, that aspect of the story really just makes the rest of it fall apart. I don't want to revisit this. I find it very icky, and I think I'm going to rank it pretty dang low.
So we have another student-teacher relationship story on our list. And that is, of course, the first arc of Emma Frost, Higher Learning, 455 on our list right now. I think Emma Frost is better than this.
I would agree. I think it is as well.
I'd rather read the Survival Guide to the Mansion again, though.
Yeah, I think so. I will give it enough credit. I don't think it's as bad as The Quick and the Dead that we just ranked at 477.
I agree.
Because it does have some significant character beats that get some of these characters off of the ground. so that they're, ready to start going in New X-Men. I see you have highlighted
475. 475 is Origins, the Wolverine story. Mm-hmm. And I don't like Origins, but I think Origins might be better than this.
All right. So is it better or worse than the second arc of X-Man? I think it's better than the second arc of X-Man.
I said the other one was worse, so I'm fine with splitting it on this one.
Okay.
Why is it that I have a compulsion to defend X-Man, a book that I do not enjoy owning?
It's because you've read it. You
have.
You have to share your pain.
Everyone else who's like, oh, I know X-Men. No, you did not read 75 issues of this thing, plus annuals, straight, plus crossovers, straight, and have this weird Stockholm syndrome about Nate Gray, and then right after you do that, Nate Gray suddenly becomes a good and interesting character of a underrated event.
Oh boy. Well, hey, we talked about speedsters, and for those of you who've been listening on 1.5, 2, 3 times speed, I hope we sounded good as chipmunks. You know what I mean? So that was fun.
Well, do you know who I hope thinks that? I hope Kenny is happy about that, because Kenny did go over to patreon.com/comicsxf, reached deep into his heart and his pocketbook, and threw a couple of coins in our coffers, just so we could keep bringing you this quality content that we do every week, both here on Battle of the Atom and with all of our friends over on Comics XF. There's a lot of good reviews and issue things. Adam just wrote a big thing about Ursa Major. The bear. It's relevant, I promise.
I don't know if that's actually going to get published on the site. We'll see. It's
I will. Adam. One. I can count on one finger the number of pitches from established writers off the site that I've said no to. 2, we will hammer it into something that's publishable if it is not currently in that form. I have a great editorial staff, and also I'm there, so we'll make something happen.
Oh man.
We've got good stuff going there. I've got a couple of reviews going up this week, including one about the 6 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, which you should read because it's a great book. If you like our funny dum-dum jokes, you'll like that book about a stuntman war. Adam, where can people find you?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. What do we got going on next week, Zach?
Next week, we are talking about Jonathan Hickman, and only Jonathan Hickman, and everything Jonathan Hickman, as we are doing a whole Jonathan Hickman episode, and it's going to be a fun one. But until then, guys, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!